you were born in Canton, and then the first move from Canton was to Chicago?
Right.
To River Forest?
To what?
To River Forest. Did you live there immediately, or did you live somewhere?
No, we lived on the south. We lived on West Washington Boulevard, and then we moved to Hamlin Avenue, 344 South Hamlin. That's where the Sixes owned the building, and the vacant lot next door. And we lived there, I don't know, quite a few years.
Okay, then the early pictures, I've got a picture of you 7 years old where you're playing golf.
Yeah.
Would that be when you were living on West Washington Boulevard?
No, that would be when we were living on Hamlin Avenue.
On Hamlin. Okay, I just realized I hope you don't mind, we're going to have to spend a lot of time, getting this all straight. I didn't realize how much you moved around.
Well, we really didn't move a lot.
Well, you lived on Washington Boulevard, then you went to Hamlin.
Yeah.
Then you moved to River Forest.
Yeah.
Then you moved to Kokomo. What school did you go to in Kokomo?
McKinley High.
How'd you say that?
McKinley High.
McKinley High.
Yeah,
And what grade were you in when you first got there? Because I've got a picture of you in fifth and sixth grade, and it's Humphrey School.
Oh, McKinley was a high school. I think it's right with Humphrey.
So you were in Canton
from 27, 28. We moved to Canton in 28. So we spent a couple years at River Forest.
Yeah.
That would be 25 or 26, 25 probably.
Okay. Then when you moved to Kokomo, were you still in grade school, or were you in high school?
In the 8th grade.
8th grade, okay. All right. Okay, now who lived at Conrad, and who lived with you on Conrad Avenue?
Everybody.
Everybody?
Yeah. J.W., Rosie. Rosie died there.
She died there.
Conrad Avenue.
Uh-huh.
Paul, Ina, me, Tom, Henry, and Babe.
Okay. How many bedrooms were there in that house?
Well, there were 4 bedrooms and a big sleeping porch. Huge. The thing was about, I suppose, 15 by 15 anyway.
Uh-huh.
And we had beds out there. It was a lovely house, but it had a very severe fire in the basement, and the beams were still charred.
Really?
And it bugged the hell out of me, and I thought that would be an awful easy place to get started again. But I got Dad to get some corrugated sheet metal, and J.W. and I nailed it on the ceiling so it wouldn't catch fire.
Uh-huh.
And I remember when we converted from the shovel coal into the force feed underground, like.
Yeah.
You put on the small coal stuff in this hopper, and it fed it into the.
Augered it in.
And augered it in.
Yeah.
And I got inside the furnace and packed the pot, the fire pot.
Oh.
With the clay that they supplied.
Oh boy.
And I was inside there doing it.
That must have been a filthy job.
Well, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah. Who was Paul Taylor?
Paul Taylor was Vonnie's son. Vonnie was sister to Babe and Ina.
Was he illegitimate?
No, he was legitimate.
What was her husband's name?
Well, he just sort of disappeared.
Uh-huh.
His name was Taylor.
What happened to Paul?
Well, Paul was little. She had leakage of the heart.
Oh.
Vonnie did. And she died quite young.
What's the connection with Mary, then?
Mary Taylor married Paul.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right.
And she had Monette and Johnny.
Okay, what was her story? Where did she come from?
Her name was Arbuckle.
Arbuckle?
Yeah, their dad was a carpenter. They lived in Kokomo.
She was from Kokomo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paul got married in Kokomo.
Okay. All right. Then, and he was living with you on Conrad too.
Oh, he was living with us all the time. When we lived in Canton on Duber Avenue, when I was born there, Babe wouldn't leave her family, so Henry moved in with him.
Uh-huh.
And that's when Bonnie and Ina and Babe and Grandpa and Grandma Wingard, when I was born there.
God, what a crew!
Oh, you know, Dad took on a hell of a responsibility.
Jesus. What was Henry's position then after the merger?
He was the Vice President, General Sales Manager.
Vice President, General Sales Manager. Okay. Well, did you feel like you were pretty wealthy? I mean, that house looks pretty nice.
Well, it was a nice house. Well, we were moderately wealthy. I didn't have everything I wanted. I never did get any shoe skates. I had to clamp on like roller skates.
Yeah.
And there was no ankle support, so I couldn't skate very well. But I wanted shoe skates, and I couldn't get them. When I graduated from high school, I wanted a Waltham watch, and Dad got me some kind of an off-brand.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we cut the corners, you know.
Yeah. But when you would visit your friends, didn't you feel like you guys were living in a nicer home?
Yes, I would say we were in the upper middle.
Yeah, that home looks pretty good in the pictures.
Oh, it was a beautiful home.
Is it still there?
Oh, absolutely. Looks better than it ever did.
Really? Wow.
I understand they finished the sleeping porch. Made a room out of it.
Oh. All right, starting with Babe and Henry's wedding.
Yeah.
Can you tell me where they lived?
Babe and Henry moved in with Babe. And the rest of them.
Oh, okay, in Canton.
Yeah.
On Duber Avenue.
On Duber.
And that was the first place.
That was, yeah.
And do you think, and they lived there until you guys went to Chicago?
Right.
So that was quite a number of years.
Well, Babe was pregnant with Tom, and he was born in 1919.
That's when you went to Washington or Hamlin.
Yeah. No, I went to Washington Boulevard.
Washington Boulevard was first.
Rented.
Okay.
And we rented at Hamlin too.
Oh, you rented both those?
And that was across the street from Garfield Park Golf.
Which one is?
Hamlin.
You told me once you weren't happy about moving to Kokomo, were you?
No, I was very happy at River Forest.
Even though you were there only 2 years?
Yeah.
You were able to make friends and kind of get settled in?
One of my friends was Charlie Bowman from Bowman Dairy. River Forest was a pretty upscale place.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. Do you have a picture of the River Forest home?
Well, I think I do, yeah. Yeah, 10 Quick Avenue.
You're right.
Yeah. I got a picture here that I was having a little trouble with, and I think it must be the place in Highland Park.
Oh, could be, because...
kind of a wooded lot.
Yeah.
It looks like it was maybe near the lake.
Well, it's near Ravinia.
Okay. Yeah, I think that, because...
Is that the one with J.W.?
Yeah.
And Gay?
Well, the edging on the page, you know, it's got that torn edging around the print.
Yeah.
It matches one of J.W. in the front yard, so I know that must be in...
Yeah,
that's got to be in Highland Park, right?
Where it was, yeah.
Yeah, okay. How did you meet the Gerhardts?
Well, Gerhard, we lived across the street from us, and we moved to Kokomo. We rented a house on Mulberry Street, and Gerhard lived across the street.
All right, so you rented a place first.
Yeah.
Where is Mulberry Street? Is that more in the center of the town, or?
No, it's in Forest Park. Gerhard's dad was a real estate man, and he developed Forest Park.
Oh, so they were well-to-do.
No, he sort of fell on hard times.
Oh. Well, of course, that's when the Depression hit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I wanna go back in Henry's life.
To Henry's early life?
Yeah.
Well, He went to school.
Do you know how old he was when they got to Canton?
When he got to Canton?
Yeah.
No. He was born in Peabody, Kansas.
I know that.
And his dad was working on the railroad. So he was a section foreman.
Right.
Made $1 a day.
Yeah.
Then the family moved back to Canton. That's Henry's family. Moved back to Canton.
Yeah.
And Grandpa refurbished or rebuilt the house on Cherry Street, and they lived there.
Uh-huh.
And Dad would not talk to his mother or father, except in English. He wanted them to learn English. When they talked to him in German, he wouldn't talk to them.
Uh-huh.
So he finally got them so they would talk to him in English, and that's how they could talk in English, because he wouldn't answer them. He says, no, I won't answer you until you talk to me in English.
What kind of work did Henry first do? Do you know?
Well, Henry worked for Best Electric. He was the paymaster, and they paid in cash and gold. And he had to make the envelopes up for the total pay, and put them in envelopes and give them to the men. And he always was worried that he would come out either short or long, because he wrote a check to cover the payroll. Then if he made a mistake, then he'd have to open all the envelopes and go back all through them and find the mistake that he made. So he was pretty careful about stuffing the envelopes with cash and money.
Yeah.
Folding money and gold pieces too. He used those.
So when he was working for Best Electric, about how old do you think he was?
Well, I imagine he was probably 18, 19, something like that.
Oh.
He was young.
And after that, do you know where he worked?
Then he went to, that's when he met Ben Fairless. Now, Ben Fairless was a surveyor for United States Steel, and later became a president of United States Steel. And he was a surveyor, and he was laying out the Massillon rolling mill. Henry would pick up Ben in his car and drive him to Massillon, because Dad was then working for Massillon Rolling Mill. So they were expanding, and that's why Ben Fairless got the job of the surveyor to lay out this new plant. So Henry and Ben became pretty good friends. And later on, after the war, we couldn't get steel for our company. And we went to Pittsburgh and interviewed with Ben.
Oh.
He knew Henry, and he told his secretary, shut off all my calls. I don't want to see anybody. I'm going to have some time to spend with Henry.
Oh.
And he got a bottle of whiskey out of his drawer, 20-year-old whiskey, and Ben and Dad sat there and drank this 20-year-old whiskey. I knew I was saving this for a special occasion.
Oh, that sounds pretty special.
He had a man secretary, and he said he can't do much for us, but he would try. And he did get some stuff for us later on. That was my experience with Ben Fairless. Then Dad then went back to Canton when the rolling mill, Massillon Rolling Mill, was being constructed. He went back and started working for Superior Sheet Steel. Superior Sheet Steel Company was part of the merger that made Continental Steel. Dad bought a house in River Forest, and we moved there, and at 10 Quick Avenue, across from the tennis courts, just a little bit west of Harlem Avenue, which was 7200 in River Forest. And our household at that time consisted of Ina and Grandpa and Grandma, the three of us, and later Tom came into the picture. So there were four of us, and Paul Taylor.
You mean J.W. and his wife. But when did she die?
Yeah. Well, Rosie died when we lived in Kokomo, I think about 1931, and I've got a picture of her grave. Dad was doing pretty well. He joined up with a guy, Don Richards, and they had Taubensee and Richards Steel representative. They were representing mills from Mansfield and, of course, Continental, and he became very successful. And Ed moved in with us in River Forest That's Eddie's grandfather.
Right.
And he was a plumber. And he worked on the soldier field.
Oh.
And he took me down there and showed me what they were doing and how they were doing it. So,
Ah.
so when the Taubensee was going real good, and Ed's job with the soldier field petered out, my dad said, why don't you come and join our firm? So then Henry and Ed and Don Richards were running Taubensee and Richards.
Uh-huh.
And I have pictures of Don and our trips up fishing, where we went to fish up at Bailey's Harbor.
Uh-huh.
Got all those pictures.
Uh-huh.
And Dad became very successful, and he had worked with Chicago Steel Service when they were starting out, and he worked out a deal to get super metal on consignment for Chicago Steel Service. And they said to him, well, Henry, since we're working with you and you're working with us, I think you ought to buy some stock in this company, in our company, Chicago Steel Service. So Dad bought $1,000 worth of stock, which was a considerable amount of money back then. And he never got any dividends from the company. All they did was raise their prices. The salary.
Oh, yeah, okay, I remember
Okay, well,
this story, I think, yeah. This is the one where he ended up getting the money to start the company, right?
yeah, that's where we got the start
Okay.
of Taubensee Steel.
Yeah.
Now you're about up to date, Mark.
All right.